Good day everyone, I am Rhiam Orejudos from BSN1 Henderson. I am making this video presentation to do the following. Number 1, palpating the surface anatomy of the lower limb. And number 2, demonstrating movements of the synovial joints. The greater trochanter lies slightly posterior and lateral to the axis of the femur, and it typically lies 6 to 8 inches of the iliac crest. The tibial tuberosity is the bump on the top of the tibia or shin bone, where the patellar tendon connects. Tendon connect muscles to bones. The patellar tendon stretches over the top of the patella or kneecap. The patellar tendon connects the large quadriceps muscle on the front of the thigh to the tibial tuberosity. The lateral malleolus is the name given to the bone outside of the ankle joint called the fibula. The next one is medial malleolus, the small prominent bone on the inner side of the ankle at the end of the tibia. The calcaneus or heel bone is the largest of the tarsal bones in the foot. It lies at the back of the foot or hindfoot below the 3 bones that make up the ankle joint.
Flexion, a movement generally in the sagittal plane that decreases the angle of the joint and reduces the distance between the 2 bones. Flexion is typical of hinge joints, bending the knee or elbow, but is also common at ball and socket joints, bending forward at the hip. Extension, a movement that increases the angle of a joint and the distance between 2 bones. Extension is the opposite of flexion. For example, bending the trunk or head backward, it is termed hyperextension. Abduction, movement of the limb away from the midline or median plane of the body, generally on the frontal plane, or the fanning movement of fingers or toes when they are spread apart. Adduction, movement of the limb toward the midline of the body. Adduction is the opposite of abduction. Rotation, movement of a bone around its longitudinal axis. Rotation, a common movement of a ball and socket joints, also describes the movement of the atlas around the odontoid process of the axis. Circumduction, a combination of flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction, commonly observed in ball and socket joints, like the shoulder. The proximal end of the limb remains stationary, and the distal end moves in a circle. The limb as a whole outlines a cone. Pronation, a movement of the palm of the hand from an anterior or upward facing position to a posterior or downward facing position. This action moves the distal end of the radius across the ulna so that the 2 bones form an X. Supination, movement of the palm from a posterior position to an anterior position. Supination is the opposite of pronation. During supination, the radius and ulna are parallel. Inversion, a movement that results in the medial turning of the sole of the foot. Eversion, a movement that results in the lateral turning of the sole of the foot. It is the opposite of inversion. Dorsiflexion, a movement of the ankle joint in a dorsal direction, standing on one's heels. Plantar flexion, a movement of the ankle joint in which the foot is flexed downward, standing on one's toes or pointing the toes.
And that's it for my skeletal system video presentation. I hope you learned and liked this video. Thank you.